Infantry units, U.S. Marine, the Vietnam War. The first American ground forces deployed against the Viet Cong and the NVA were the U.S. Marines, who came ashore at Da Nang on the coast of South Vietnam on March 8, 1965. The following 6 years of warfare would test the Marines' endurance to the limit. The Marine Corps was self-contained with its own artillery, helicopters, and aircraft, with the infantry as the focus of the Marine operations. Marine recruits would undergo training as riflemen. They would go through a rigorous 13-week Marine boot camp at Parris Island or San Diego. Grueling marches, press-ups, and runs were frequent, with instructors aggressively yelling orders. Successful recruits would then go into infantry training with shooting and specialist skills training. The average Marine infantryman sent to Vietnam was often no older than 18 to 20 years old. Recruits came from all over the United States, and the Marines attracted many African Americans who found the armed forces a better employment opportunity and a place of equal treatment at a time when civil rights were a contested issue in the U.S. The Marines were deployed in the North Sector of South Vietnam. The DMZ, where the U.S.-backed South was separated from the Communist North. The challenging terrain in which they operated consisted of a coastal plain and further inland the jungle mountains. When a Marine entered the villages and rice paddies of the plain, he was surrounded by a population with a culture and language that he did not understand. Viet Cong guerrillas were also hidden amongst the civilians and impossible to identify. In the highlands, Marines had to seek out the enemy amongst misty ridges and ravines, cutting through the jungle with a machete while dealing with swarming insects and humidity. Even on routine patrols in areas under the control of South Vietnamese, Marines could expect mines and booby traps set up by the Viet Cong or sniper fire. The Marines were at first adapting to the difficult conditions with good morale. They mounted counterinsurgency efforts in the villages, setting up small squads in friendly hamlets alongside local militia to keep out the Viet Cong. The main function of the Marines, however, was to seek out and destroy the Viet Cong guerrillas and the NVA soldiers, primarily in the highlands. U.S. commanders believed in the tactic of combining helicopters and utilizing the maximum use of firepower available to the American forces. The firepower was provided by setting up fire bases in advanced positions from which artillery could support the infantry. Helicopters would insert recon teams of 6 to 8 Marines into hostile territory to track the enemy, or fairly large units into jungle landing zones. Marines would carry 36 kilograms or 80 pounds of kit, including the M16 rifle, grenades, ammunition, canteens, entrenching tool, machete, first aid kit, and flak jacket. Casualties were sustained not only from firefights with the enemy, but also falls, snake bites, and heat stroke. The availability of helicopters to evacuate the wounded saved many lives. The Marines were finding themselves more and more on the defense as their fire bases south of the DMZ came under attack from the NVA forces. On January 21, 1968, NVA artillery and mortar fire fell on the Marine base of Khe Sanh. The Marines' ammo dump had exploded, destroying their supplies. It was a start to a siege that would last 77 days. The base was defended by 6,000 men, mainly from the 26th Marine Regiment, with the NVA force surrounding them at 40,000 strong. The Marines had difficulties keeping the garrison supplied via air as the airstrip was exposed to enemy mortars and AA guns. But they held on to Khe Sanh until a relief column broke through. The Communists launched the Tet Offensive in an attempt to seize control of the cities in South Vietnam. The Marines played an important role in taking back control of the city of Hue from the NVA, who had captured it for 25 days. Fighting from house to house, the Marines had lost almost 1,000 men who were either killed or wounded. Many Marines had been pushed to their limit and morale was dropping. As casualties increased, Marines focused on surviving their 13-month tour of duty when victory looked increasingly impossible. The Marines withdrew from Vietnam in 1971, leaving the Army to fight the war alone. Subscribe to see more history videos. Get Simple History: The Vietnam War out today.